Welcome to Landrianka on YouTube, here to help you break through your fears. To do what? Live an awesome life. Because life is awesome. I know it comes with challenges. Guess what? Get ready. It's never going away. Have total acceptance. All right, I actually shot this video a while back and I didn't release it because I watched it recently and I didn't like how it came across. I want to make sure that when I'm very direct, that it's not coming off negative, because I never mean it that way. But I have a very strong personality, as you know, and I get very passionate when I'm speaking, and I want to make sure that I deliver this message really positively so it can't be misinterpreted. Someone wrote a comment about one of my videos when I said everything is choice. Everything is choice. We have complete free will as human beings. I'm not talking about other planets, all right? I'm talking about Earth. I'm talking about our decision to come here. Everything has been a choice. You always have choice. So people can say, well, wait, I didn't have choice when somebody did something to me. Yes, you do. You have choice on how you react to that. And they had a choice as to whether or not they were going to do that. And we had a choice in what situations we put ourselves in and exactly what lessons we need to learn. It is no random thing. There are tiny little things accumulating to create the one situation that you're in at all times. Nothing's ever random. Okay. So my friend Elizabeth wrote and said, beautiful soul, she absolutely had a valid point that we all feel and deal with, and that is, if everything's in choice, including the bodies we came into, the situations we came into, she finds it hard to believe that people would come into situations like Hitler, and that we're supposed to be compassionate and be okay with that, and or that people would come in to be killed in a concentration camp, and that people in abusive situations, she found it very difficult to believe that somebody would come into an abusive situation and that we're supposed to be okay with that. All right, so let's correct a couple things. First of all, yes, they did come into that abusive situation purposely. All right? I know, that's the toughest one. The second thing is, you are saying that we should be okay with that. No, I'm saying you should accept that that was the journey that they chose, and if they want assistance from us, absolutely, Elizabeth, we have to be there for people. We are here for each other. We are one unit. We need to move as one unit. However, there are people in those situations that need to go through some learning situations, and maybe we should not interfere with certain things. Abuse, of course we step up to the plate. Animals, children, people, anybody who's in an abusive situation, we should always be there for them. There have been situations where people don't want the help. So where's that line, right? Where's that line where you think that you need to help them and they're fine with where they are? I'll give you an example. By the way, this we're going to go in a lot of different directions with this, but it's all going to come back to the fact that they're choosing. All right, so I'm working on some technology that's going to help homeless people, veterans, disadvantaged people. It's pretty awesome. But what we're doing is we're not imposing anything on them. We're giving them tools to change their lives. And that there will be nothing that isn't available to them to do that. We're going to make it so easy for them to make choices, positive ones, according to what they want. Now I'm going to share something with you that I'm finding out that some of you may or may not know. There is a big percentage of homeless people that want nothing to do with our society, are owning a home, 9 to 5 lives, 2.5 kids, and they want to stay on the street. They have dropped out, and what they're experiencing is more beneficial to them than doing what we think they should be doing, because according to what we think a positive life or experience is. So already we're imposing our feelings and thoughts and beliefs and judgment on them according to what they're choosing. If they want the help, we need to be there for them. They chose that path. They chose the path. There is something beautiful that's going to come from that. The second thing too is, our assumption is that they are on a lower density than us. I'm going to tell you what, there's probably more enlightened people on the street than living in mansions. Probably more free and happy, joyful people out there in the worst possible situations in countries, happy than people here in the United States who have every opportunity. Yes, I know. Ow, Kitty agrees. He also just stabbed me. Thanks. So, what am I getting to? When you think that they didn't choose to come into those abusive situations, you are now putting yourself in a higher position, and that they are somehow lower energies, lower dense energies, and that is so not true. I'm going to tell you right now, all of us are equally beautiful, empowered energies. Not all of us are choosing to vibrate on that higher frequency. Everything was a choice. You're assuming that person in the abusive situation is on a lower frequency. They may be enlightened and came here to experience that, so that all of us would have the ability to open up and show compassion. We don't know. Judge nothing. So by saying that they couldn't have possibly choose, we need to be for them, is you're putting yourself in this, and I know that's not what you're thinking, by the way, but you are ultimately putting yourself in a position where there's some lower energy that didn't know better, or that there's some outside energy or decision maker that put them there, and that there was no choice. You either believe there's choice and free will, or you don't. Because if you say that that person couldn't possibly have chosen that situation, then you're saying we don't have free will and choice. So let's just not do anything. If there's an outside entity, if God's dictating who deserves what and is judging us, then why bother, right? Your assumption is that's a bad thing. First of all, we are on a dense planet. All right? Even the highest frequencies coming here, if you're in a body, your frequency is challenged because you're in a dense body on a dense planet. Then that's changing, yes. So if you're a dense body in a dense planet, you're with other dense beings. Some are vibrating on a higher and lower frequency in this existence, in this role that they're playing. And we're all affected by that. Who's going to play the lower frequencies? If there aren't any abuse situations, then we'd be a perfect planet. And that's what we're striving for. Do you get it? Those people coming in those situations, those souls, are raising the frequency of the planet. They're either helping the abuser who needs to learn a lesson and change that frequency, or they're doing it themselves. Maybe they were the abuser in the last life, and they have to experience that firsthand and realize that they can break through it. And maybe they need to learn forgiveness and compassion on their own for their abuser. So when you make comments like somebody wouldn't possibly, we need to help them, you are assuming that there's no lesson there, there's no great breakthroughs available, there's no choice, that energy, that soul is not as empowered as you are, and all of us are equally empowered, no matter what situation. In fact, I've said to you guys this before, if you come into the worst possible situation, you may have been one of the most awesome, enlightened souls on the other side, achieved a lot of high frequencies, maybe chose it to really challenge yourself and to be an example to other people. The breakthroughs, how many people have been in the worst situations and they were, instead of being defeated, broke through and became something really awesome and great and were that example to all the other people struggling of what they can do. That's what we are. All role-playing. Now let's talk about Hitler. Elizabeth, Hitler is one energy. That war could have never taken place unless there was 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and hundreds and thousands of people that went along with that energy. Hitler was never the problem. Hitler was one density. And by the way, if we'd reacted differently to him, he may have changed. When there was no empowerment for that negative behavior, that lower energy, nothing could have ever happened. There would be no concentration camps. It takes a village, right? We all had choices along the way. He was never the problem. It was all of the choices that we chose along the way. And that happens every day with everything. It doesn't have to be Hitler. It could be you making a choice to do something that's going to be hurtful to other people or yourself. And that's a learning lesson. That's part of the evolution of your soul and our entire energy. And that's why it's so important for us to make good choices and good thoughts. And one of them is accepting that those roles are not beneath us. They are not necessarily lower densities or lower frequencies. That those people need to learn a lesson. And that part of it could involve us in helping them. And maybe they're the ones helping us. Helping us to open our hearts and be compassionate. All of this works. All of it works. But what our main goal is to keep raising that frequency in whatever role we're playing. Elizabeth, I hope this makes sense because I know you have such a beautiful heart and you want to help people. And you're looking at it as negative and bad, and I look at it as, yes, some pain and possibly suffering. You're assuming they're suffering. Some of these people aren't suffering. They're in pain, but they're not necessarily suffering. Suffering's a choice. Maybe they have reached such an enlightened state that they're able to live in that painful place. As uncomfortable as it is, they want to experience it for whatever reason. But they're actually at peace inside. You don't know. You'll never know what any of our roles are, other than we came here on this planet to raise the frequency. I know that for sure. So let it go that Hitler's bad and Mother Teresa's great. They are all playing their roles, and we get to choose who we're going to hang out with. And we're going to choose whether or not we make that an enemy or we bless them. Because if you're going to play that higher frequency role, that means you have to bless your enemy. It says, Christ says this, you have got to love your worst enemy just as much as you love the Mother Teresa's of the world. That is the ultimate challenge for us. Those of us who think we're spiritual, who are naming ourselves something, and then listen to all this stuff and then turn around and judge. Hitler is bad. Hitler was a lower frequency, made some very bad choices, and so did the thousands of people that went along with him. They were all Hitler's. And by the way, I'm pretty sure Hitler never put one person into a concentration camp. Hitler never did. It was the other people that went along with him that drove the trains, that locked the doors, that turned on the gas. Hitler never did one of those things. He was the energy behind it that everybody hooked into. We have to take full responsibility for everything. Do you realize if this whole world was operating on a high frequency and there was one negative frequency, lower frequency, that we would embrace that frequency, that person, and they would be turned around. They would eventually have to come up to our frequency because there is nothing else to connect to but a higher frequency. And that frequency would automatically start to raise. And that person would see nothing but love, no matter how angry or mean they were. If all they received was love and acceptance, they would change. Their frequency would go up. And that is a fact. That's quantum physics. All right, so I'm going to share something with you. I saw a documentary last night off of Gaia called I Am. And the producer was at HeartMath Institute, which you've probably heard of. And they took a little container of yogurt, and put electrodes in and hooked it up to a computer. And they were not touching it, they were not connected to it, and all they were asked to do, the producer was asked to think about certain things. So he thought about his attorney, and it spiked. His thoughts, both positive and negative, were affecting the reaction of the yogurt in the jar that he wasn't even touching. His energy, his heart math, right? His energy off of his heart, his energy off of his whole body, his frequency, was affecting the food. So I want you to think about that when you're thinking about, that's why I tell you, when you say, okay, well, meditation, that's not going to help them. Yes, it actually will. Now, yes, you take the action. Yes, you get off your couch. Yes, you give the money to the people that, are going to do good things with it. I give automatically every month, my money goes to a lot of these animal rescues and, all of these things are going to help save these animals and change legislation. Let's change the root of the problem. So, your meditation, your positive thoughts are affecting your food, everybody else, this little kitty cat that's asleep next to me, the energy of the planet. It is affecting everything. And then, when you see an opportunity to become something helpful and great, even if it's smiling at the cashier, even if it's letting somebody go in front of you in the line saying, go ahead, I'm not in a rush. It's smiling at somebody else. It's opening up the door. It's mowing your neighbor's lawn because, well, they're getting older. I've done that before, by the way. It's sometimes I bake little cakes and I take it to my neighbors. It makes their day. Sometimes their week. Can you start doing that? And quit judging who's playing what role and that they have no choice and that they're victims. There are no victims. Get it out of your head right now and be okay with that role they chose. We're supposed to work it through, and as a community, we will raise the frequency of this planet, and you and I, who are one, we're connected, we're sharing the same energy, we're going to live in the most beautiful place, even with its challenges, of abundance, of health, of prosperity and joy and peace. And the stuff's not going to be important anymore because we're all going to be so happy and there's going to be so much abundance. No one will go hungry. We're going to be sharing everything. You live in that place right now. You just have to choose it. In here and here. What's your mantra? I am whole. I am perfect. I am strong, powerful, loving. I am harmonious. I am happy. Thank you for all the beautiful gifts you've sent me. Thank you for giving me the strength to be my best every day. Thank you for allowing me to come here and raise the frequency of this planet and to be a blessing to others and to live a joyous life. Thank you for all the gifts I have. Thank you. Thank you for watching this channel, because I know you are on your path to absolute, total bliss, of which we are. Namaste.